All right, greetings. That is a whole bunch of buzz. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Great to see you. All the people in the chat. Max Sarjay says Guy McPherson is saying that the tardigrades will go away during the next mass extinction. All right. Sorry, I was a little late to the chat, but how are you doing today? Good to see y'all. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Rockfin. Hello, Rockfinners. Hello, hello, hello. And we're live on Callin as well. Callin is an app where you can call into the show. But try to wait until the end of the show. But greetings to all y'all. All y'all. Let's get into it because there's always a lot to cover. Starting with this story. Why am I starting with this story? Because it's ridiculous. I just want to poke at the whole election denier thing. Just a little bit. We know that many of our recent elections have been in question. One of the famously, when George W. Bush seemed to swoop in from behind and take the presidency from Al Gore. Yeah, remember when lefties and Democrats were all upset about that? Remember when lefties and Democrats were all upset that Trump won? But somehow, Trump and Fox contesting the 2020 election is just absolutely cockamamie. So, I mean, come on, y'all. Come on. Let's get real. But the funny thing is, Dominion is suing Fox News. For defamation, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I can't see this. I don't want to log in. I don't necessarily need to read this, although I don't know why it's not letting me read it right now. Hold on one second. If you remember famously, a few years ago, there was like a kid who testified that it was very easy to hack into these Dominion voting machines. This was like in the, I don't know, I'd say around 2005 or 6. When people were still like, why is this guy president? Hillary didn't ask for a recount? I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, there was a recount. There was a recount during the 2000 election. I don't understand your point, creative experiments. I don't know. Do you mean she knew it was she didn't ask for a recount because she knew he won, or I don't know. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is there's a very famous video and testimony of hackers and people who are well versed in, computers that said, these machines are really easy to get into. They're easily hacked. These are not, the most trustworthy things that we should, and this was a long time ago. People were like, oh, that's interesting. Nadia says, USA elections are routinely rigged shams on a number of different levels. Some years, 1980, 2000, are easier to publicly demonstrate than are others. Yeah. I mean, people know. I think. Not everyone, but the idea that they're running this story and trying to make it, in Dominion is suing Fox News, defamation. Now, how dare you? Oh my God, this is the most, upstanding election ever. No. Sorry. So sorry. So it's ridiculous. And they're using Trump as the foil, right? It's, anything associated with Trump is completely believable to anybody on the left because, of course, he's the worst person ever that ever lived. So, and he's crazy, nutty, racist, fascist, and everybody who supports him is crazy, nutty, racist, fascist. And of course, these are the worst people ever. And oh my God, it's so ridiculous. I wonder what the upshot of this suit, I wonder if it actually will go anywhere. Or if this is going to be just another in a long line of like headlines of like, here they come. They're going to, did you see that the arrest of Trump was, postponed? Right. The indictment of Trump. Of course, because it's not really a thing. It's just a headline to get everybody all riled up. All this stuff with Trump is just a headline. They actually, I think, in reality, would prefer if Trump is in the national election. And actually, I think it would behoove the people in charge if Trump won again, because it would absolutely break everyone's brains. The country would be extremely divided. And, as if people could get even stupider, more stupid, as if people could get any more stupid, the stupidity level will skyrocket if Trump wins in 2024. I mean, it just will be bonkers dumb. I'm probably going to have to delete my Facebook account because I'm not going to be able to hold back from telling people how dumb they are. But anyways. They postponed the rumor that Mr. Trump, and that's the thing, is maybe it was a rumor that Trump said he was going to be a dumber, exactly. I mean, this is just such a ridiculous story. I'm interested to see where it goes, if it actually goes anywhere. I don't think it will, because there's record, there's evidence out there through the years that Dominion is not an upstanding, trustworthy company, that their products, don't perform the way they should, that they are not safe voting systems or machines, that they're easily hacked. It's just, how would you, like, on what evidence, on what legs are they standing on? Oh no, this is completely upstanding and we're totally safe. So it's mostly, most of this is just, it's a sham story from a sham company about sham elections. So it's so ridiculous. Yes, Denver. I think that's the one I'm referring to. The HBO documentary from the 2000s on voting machines called Hacking Democracy. But beyond that documentary, there's been testimony, like congressional testimony, by people saying like, yeah, I can totally hack into these things. It's not hard. So just, this is a dumb story. and the reality is that these machines, our elections are not safe. They are not fair. They're not real. I saw this, and I was also had to get a little upset about this too, because it's from Revolutionary Blackout Network. Capitalism equals regression. Well, for sure, we are now back to debating child labor laws. The United States is a not a good place. Iowa poll: 50% support loosening child labor laws to open more jobs and expand hours. What? What did I tell you? I mean, we're getting this is self-fulfilling prophecy from all the libertarians, the other shit libs. And I mean, continue listening to these people that the government is bad and it's all bad and they're always bad and they never do good things and never vote again and never involve yourself with the government. Never expect your government to do a little better. And granted, we're not in a good place, but the reason why we're not in a good place is because all the gains, all the socialist gains that were made at protecting people long time ago, the things that were put in place to safeguard people against the ravenous maw of just I don't know what you want to call it, disaster capitalism or whatever you want, just outright the ravenous maw of just like out of control capitalism, right? Back in the day when children were put to work and burned up in factory fires and the kind of things that other people in other countries are dying from now, right? Because they don't have regulations and laws in place, and that's why we moved all our factories over there so that they can get paid $3 an hour, and work 16-hour days, right? We in America at one time there were in place like protections for people, and all of these things were socialism. Okay, socialist. And we had unions and we had great hourly pay and we had benefits and people got to go to college for really cheap and could live the American dream, et cetera, et cetera. We actually started to get safeguards for the environment. You know what I'm saying, right? And all those things through the last 5 decades have been hacked away. Why? Because that was a concerted effort. That was a organized effort. That was a conspiracy by the people in charge to fund and ramp up the messages that the government's bad and the entire deregulation libertarian message, which is really predominant in alternative news circles. And I'm just pointing this out to you that this is why we're in this mess. This is one of the big reasons we're in this mess. Because, we can't expect to ever regulate anything or have good people voted into office. I mean, you could also probably add in the fact that, there was a time in the country where we were making great societal progress. And the leaders of all this, the big faces of this this progress in moving us into an even better place, I guess, socially, were all murdered. So that helped too. Anyways. Let's see, Judy Truitt. A woman here sells breakfast and lunch on the weekend from her home with a legal kitchen. Her granddaughter earns a lot in tips. That's cool. As a server. That's cool. I've actually was talking to somebody about doing something like that. Having like a pop-up restaurant. Because I cook a lot. Anyways. Long story short, There was a time when capitalism run amok with no safeguards from the government, because who else is going to put these safeguards in? It's not going to be, the idea that like, oh, well, people are just going to do the right thing with capitalism and such. If we deregulate everything, if we let capitalism, the free market, and just let the market decide, what you will get is these mega monopolies and these maniacal people at the top, of the guild, you'll have a gilded age, another gilded age. And this is, we're going back to another gilded age. We're already, there, a lot of people would say, because there's been an upward transfer of wealth. Very few people own everything, and a lot of people have very little at the bottom. This is because we've had all those safeguards stripped away. We've had unions busted. The minimum wage hasn't risen in 20 years, right? While inflation is, way outpaced how much the minimum wage has risen, which is zero since the George Bush. Of course, in some cities and states and certain regions, minimum wage is much more, but the federal minimum wage hasn't risen in like 20 years, which is ridiculous, right? The minimum wage was a safeguard to help make sure that, wages stayed up with inflation. We don't expect our government to act any better, and we've been told, well, don't participate, don't do it, don't get involved, don't expect, don't organize, don't vote, don't expect your government to act any better, don't, it's deregulate, get away from them, don't talk to them, don't have anything to do with them, shun them completely. And what you do is you just open a lane for them to do whatever they want, which is what's happening now. Just corruption run amok. And nobody, in the face of it's funny because in the face of the Ohio train derailment, you had all these like pretty much libertarian alternative journalists going out there, oh, this is such a disaster, and oh my God, and oh, and they've taken away all those safety rules, and isn't that what you're pushing for, you numbnuts? These people are dumb, and actually, the dumbest people are the people that listen to them and go, yeah, totally, right? You are dumb if you listen to these people and go, yeah, don't vote, no, deregulation, yeah, the government's bad, and don't have anything to do with them, and don't expect them to do anything better by you. Don't push for anything. Don't ask for anything. You're dumb if you listen to that message and think that's the real message. Sorry if I hurt your feelings, but you're dumb. Just try to do better. Get a little smarter. Jesus. They sold you this thing like a long time ago, and it's just been that's been the slow-moving disaster like ever since. And along with that idea is the idea that, communists, these communists and these socialists, they're not socialists or communists, they're just fascists. And you're just, the left is now a fascist, and you're just calling them communists and socialists. Socialism's bad and communism's bad, and you guys don't even know what communism and socialism is. How can you have an opinion on it? Because you don't even know what it is, and you're misrepresenting it to people. I'm kind of like over a lot of... the alternative journalists out there, because I actually, it's a little too lockstep. The messaging is a little too lockstep for me, and so I have a more conspiratorial opinion about it, which is that all these people are, probably, might be paid operatives, or too stupid to know that they're operating in the benefit of the people in power. Because their answer is the dumbest answer of all. And it's been the answer that Rush Limbaugh and Ronald Reagan and, all these like super libertarians through the ages have been pumping out there, right? Jesus Christ. It's so infuriating. It's incredibly infuriating. Anyways. And at this stage in the game, both Democrats and Republicans just put forward the same idea. just with different window dressing. Yes, Republicans are, are doing a lot of the dirty work, but actually the Democrats are doing the heavy lifting by doing all the stuff that the Republicans can't get pushed through because it's too radical, right? The Democrats just get it right through. This is what the oligarchy wants, is for you to completely give up. And when they put out these video, the demoralization of Americans and people and making them feel like they don't have any power and they don't have any agency and they don't know what to do and they're confused and they don't know what's going on. They make it seem like it's some big plot from somewhere else, No, it's the people you're listening to on the internet telling you, yeah. So, good job, Good job, libertarians. Good job, guys. Way to go. Way to jackboot us all into just absolute, just nothing. Good job. You guys are morons. and you're really, you're doing people a disservice. Sorry if I'm upset about it, but I'm upset about it. But this is where we're going, right? We're going back to, loosening the rules around child labor laws, loosening OSHA standards, loosening safety standards. We're loosening the safety standards for flying airplanes right now, right? They're proposing like not requiring 2 pilots in the plane, just 1. And if something happens to that pilot, good luck, everyone. This is because, oh my God, because you just opened that lane. And nobody even talks about anything, bettering these safeguards, asking for more regulation, asking for these agencies to act correctly or operate with the people's interest in mind. No, we can't do that. We can't do that because everybody told you to stop doing that. And they're doing it all under the guise of telling you the truth. See how that works? And you're like, oh, let me suck it on up. Let me just, this tastes great. Yeah. So, just so you know. Exactly, Jenny Malloy. Idiocracy, here we come. There are laws in place that are supposed to protect you, or from things. Trying to protect you from things. And if you don't support, the enforcement of those laws or the funding of the agencies that are supposed to enforce those laws or the oversight of the agencies that are supposed to enforce those laws, right? If you don't encourage the government to operate correctly, then it's not going to operate correctly, right? You get anything? Anyways. Biden crushed a rail strike, and literally months later, we had this huge disaster and this huge expose on how bad the rail system is. But everybody decided it was Trump's fault, and it is partly Trump's fault, but it's also partly Biden's fault, right? And we don't even have conversations anymore. We can't even have a conversation about why is nobody talking about Citizens United anymore? Trying to get, that is still an issue. That's still a problem. Why is nobody talking about Medicare for all? Why is nobody's talking about anything because, just give up. No, okay. well, have a good time with that, because that's what you're going to get, what you asked for. So enjoy that. Thanks, Timothy Martin. Appreciate it. This is an interesting story. Fossil fuel companies have not simply been lying to the public. They have been killing members of the public at an accelerating rate. Well, yeah. And prosecutors should bring that crime to the public's attention. A radical, so they call it a radical climate climate paper calls for charging big U.S. oil firms with homicide. Well, yeah, of course. Why are they? Hold on, guys. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't they? That's they're intentionally doing people harm. And it's hilarious to me, again, to go back to the train derailment, how, these supposed, alternative journalists are like, yeah, this is really bad, it's so stupid, they're poisoning people. But when you talk about climate change or fossil fuels or, air pollution, there, mum's the word. Oh, no, that's not happening. What are you, a moron? You're a class A moron. You're a certified freaking moron. So pay attention to what these people are telling you, or how they're couching their arguments in the guise of telling you the truth. This is one of the big reasons why we have a nation of idiots running around, right? It's not actually the conspiracy theories that are the problem. It's the things that they hide. It's the things that they tell you while they're telling you the conspiracy theories. Because, yeah, the conspiracy theories, totally. We know people are corrupt and they get together and they plan on doing, like, terrible things to you. But the things they put in between the conspiracy theories are the things that are jacking your brain. I mean, who cares? Who cares if Cecil Rhodes, invented all, if we're all under a, some good big plan by the Cecil Rhodes, is handed down through the Rhodes Scholar. Who cares if we're, the British Empire is still alive through all these ages? Who cares? Like, what are we going to do about it? Right? What are we going to do about it? It doesn't matter whether it's the British Empire or the Illuminati or the Rothschilds or the oligarchs. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. You gotta. How are you gonna stop this from happening? How are you gonna turn the tide? How are you gonna, take control of your government or the way that you organize your society, or the way you take care of people? How are you gonna do that? And it's funny because they call all of this, in several ways, I don't know what, communism. Communism is funded by the same people. Okay. Well, it's not communism. Cecil Rhodes was an epic African murderer. And same with, what's the Dutch guy? King Leopold. He was pretty horrible. Anyways, I wish I could sign into this, but I don't. Maybe I don't need to. Oh, this is something I really wanted to talk about. That's why it's in the thumbnail. Leopold II, yeah. There is an awful amount of optimism bias in wealthier countries as the climate situation deteriorates. Thinking wealth or location are climate barriers is foolish. Optimism bias. This is a really important thing to understand. Wealthy countries import most of their food. 80% of the food is imported in the UK, for example. I mean, and you can apply this not just to food. You can apply it to pretty much everything. Right? I mean, super comfortable. We can buy anything we want at any time anything at any time we want. And that's totally nice. It's like great. But it's a level of it's a level of disassociation with reality, right? And we expect to live this way. This is another thing. If I could go back to alternative media, how they couch all their arguments is that, oh my God, they're going to take away the things that you expect to deserve in this, hyper capitalist, get anything you want at any moment in time society. They're going to take away your personal vehicles, right? This is, they're going to take away your standard of living. Oh my God. But our standard of living keeps us in this cocoon of reality. How much infrastructure, how many resources does it take to ship, grapes from Chile to you? It seems like, oh, well, that's very nice that we, live in a world where this can happen. But we're not even thinking about, the amount of energy it takes to grow these foods all over the world and then, ship them to you. And most of the time, they don't even get shipped directly to you. Sometimes they're shipped to other countries to be processed and then shipped to you. And everything along the way is...
Unknown caller.
Everything along the way, right? The entire scheme is so that people can make money off of literally like every little portion of that supply chain. Right? That whole supply chain is a money-making endeavor. Right? And the infrastructure is a money-making endeavor. Like everything about it, right? That's why it's funny, that they're gonna solve climate change with, replacing the infrastructure or the consumables, right? With something less climate changey, right? It's madness because it's actually the infrastructure itself that facilitates the damage. So if you really want to stop the damage, you actually have to get rid of the infrastructure to stop facilitating the damage. But nobody ever talks about that. Nobody, you really actually do have to get rid of the airport or the port where everything comes in or the roads that everything travels on, right? The trucks that everything travels in. You actually have to get rid of those things. That's radical. That's super radical. You'll never hear that anywhere. You'll never hear anybody, because it's like, oh my God, what are you talking about? What? I just cannot even fathom in my brain, like, oh my God. What is he saying? Somebody like was in the call-in chat calling me a madman. Really? Am I? Am I a madman? You get in your car and you go to the store lazily, just super comfortable, turn on the heater, go to the store, expect that everything you could possibly want exists there for you. And, and that's absolutely how reality is and must be. And I'm the madman. All right. Okay. Deebs says, but they didn't take our bulldozers, road rollers, cranes, excavators, or semis. They're going to take away our personal vehicles. It's so like ridiculous. Or maybe it's just maybe it's maybe a lot of the messaging in like alternative journalism is like training. That's another thing that I keep thinking about. It's like training, right? Like telling you the things that they're going to do to you in a way sets you up for expecting these things to happen, right? And just accepting them. On some levels, it might be like neurolinguistic programming. You know what I'm saying? You listen to people say, here it comes, it's coming, this thing is happening, and you can't stop it. And so when it happens, you're just like, well, yeah, we knew it was going to happen. We were right. Like, okay. Good for you. Right? Like, it's hilarious. Just pay attention. Just pay attention. That's all I'm asking you to do is pay attention to people that are telling you the things that are going to happen to you, and just having you expect, oh, it's happening. Oh, they're going to do it. Here it comes. And, I don't know. I do like to hear people say, you should resist these things. That's positive. But like we're not, we're at the other. It's like, how did we go from talking about a wealth tax and Medicare for all and maybe internet freedom and Citizens United, a few years ago, to talking about resisting, CBDCs and total technological tracking all the time. Like we've moved really quickly from like just asking for some some basic goods and services from the government to like, please don't lock us up, like in a matter of a couple of years. But they're telling you that, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is what's happening. I mean, I don't know. Something's happening, for sure. But this whole thing right here is a level of unreality, of not reality. And it's nice. It's a nice place to be for a while. To be able to have these things, at your beck and call, at your every wish and whim. It is nice. It's nice. I have to tell you, I live in a wealthy Western country where I, man, let me tell you how thankful I am for like the amount of comfort that I experience. Jesus. But I also know that, that's not something that we can expect to enjoy forever. Not the way we're doing it. Not the way we're doing it. And don't get me wrong, there are people out there that are trying to organize a different way of living on the planet. You know, there are people out there that are, you know, engaged in like trying to set up another type of I don't want to call it infrastructure, but a way that people can live on the planet that doesn't require all the stuff, you know. And I appreciate those people for trying and being an example. Creative Experiment says, the funny thing is that the comfort we feel now is actually tiny compared to the 50s and 60s. Comfort, cost of living, and resources. I mean, I think we have a lot more comfort now, and we have a lot, you know, we also have a lot more technology now. And you know, another thing that I'm very grateful for in this world, I actually really enjoy the technology we enjoy right now. It's pretty freaking amazing that we can all sit here on the internet and bitch about what's coming our way. It's pretty freaking amazing. Question is if it's going to be a reality that's going to be allowed or able to continue into the future. I don't know. Obsolete Optics says communal living in intentional communities is the way of the future. The Netherlands, big money earners in the farming business. Yeah, actually, I saw that. Did you send that to me? I think you sent that to me, Fleur Ali. It's in Dutch, so I had to watch it with. That's a good video. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there is big business that is opposed to changing the way they do business, and that makes sense, right? I mean, would it make sense if agriculture is such a huge business? You know, feeding the world is big business. Feeding people is big business. If the government is like, well, we want you guys to do something different here, and it might impact your profits. Well, yeah. You might have some big business people going, yeah, we don't want that. We don't like that. You want to do something that's better for the planet, but might impact our profits? Psh, up yours, Jack. Double Down News. How to Save 75 Billion Animals by George Monbiot. I'm not reading anything George Monbiot has to say. I'm on a George Monbiot strike. He's a dope. Sorry, that's just my opinion. You can read George Monbiot if you want. I like that he understands climate change, but I just don't like that he doesn't understand anything else. What else are we talking about today? Oh, well, it's it's like 20 years since we invaded Iraq, so there's a lot of people, kind of bringing up, what happened, what went very, very wrong. With getting into the Iraq War. And actually, there's a bit of a symbiosis, I guess, if you will, or there's a mirror to now in Ukraine or Syria or, name the country. Well, there's the Iraq War was based on false premise, a false premise, lies basically, and the mainstream media parroted those lies. And the people in charge made sure those lies went out, 24/7, and anybody who questioned those lies, Phil Donahue got fired, for questioning those lies. Other people got fired for questioning those lies. Or let go. Right? The voices of opposition were, stomped down. And then later they were like, oh, well, oops. Oh, yeah. Okay, so listen. Listen. That was 20 years ago. I think people realize what happened. When it happens again, the point now is to not, George Monbiot, not believe the lies. George Monbiot, journalist, to not repeat the lies. Or maybe you're paid to repeat the lies. I don't know. That's why I'm not reading you anymore, George Monbiot, you liar. Either you're a liar or you're really stupid. But otherwise, I don't have any time for anything you have to say. I don't care what you know about climate change. You're stupid because you're a liar. And you're lying at the, in support of a corrupt government, that's trying to do something to people under the guise of helping them. And it's the same thing. It's the exact same repeat of the Iraq War. And people are just like, oh, yeah, no. Have historical amnesia. Oh, no, we don't do that anymore. Oh, yeah, well, that was bad. Well, we messed up that time. But, oh, right. You think we're going to do it better again? No. Yes, Denver Attaway, Joe Biden was the chief of the Democratic Party. He was one of the people that got us into the Iraq War. Oh, but he's just a kindly... No, he's not a fascist. He's the one who was against fascism. I am smart. Yes, creative experiments. Some climate change activists actually think sanctioning Russia will help fix climate change. Some climate change activists have Ukraine flags in their bios because I am smart. Yeah. Yeah, I was really against the Iraq War because it was a Republican guy, but I think this time it's for peace and love. This war. I am smart. Not really. No, you're not, pal. You're kind of a moron, and you're helping, talk people into, usher people into death and destruction. So, good job, Mr. I care about the planet. Good job. I care about the planet, but Jesus Christ, let's give them some more ammunition and weapons and tanks and depleted uranium shells. I'm George Monbiot. In the Iraq War's third week, the U.S. blew up an Iraqi family of 15. One 12-year-old boy, Ali Hamza, survived, though he had both arms blown off, along with losing his mother, siblings, etc. CNN's Kyra Phillips asked his doctor if the boy spoke of the value of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Phillips asked, does he understand why this war took place? Has he talked about Operation Iraqi Freedom? What? The doctor says, actually, we don't discuss this issue with him because the burn case isn't the type of injury. He's in a very bad psychological trauma. Some smart guy with a Ukraine flag in his bio says the Iraq War happened 20 years ago. Get over it. This is, yeah, this is what passes for humanity on this planet. People like this. with a Ukraine flag and a syringe in his bio and a rainbow. Yeah. Anyways. Oprah Winfrey was among the war propagandists, and Phil Donahue was not. That's why he was fired.
Even Oprah got in on the act, featuring in October 2002, New York Times reporter Judith Miller.
The U.S. intelligence community believes that Saddam Hussein has deadly stocks of anthrax, of botulinum toxin, which is one of the most virulent poisons known to man.
Liberal hawk Kenneth Pollock. And what we know for a fact from a number of defectors who've come out of Iraq over the years is that Saddam Hussein is absolutely determined to acquire nuclear weapons and is building them as fast as he can.
And the right-hand man to Ahmed Chalabi.
And so, do the Iraqi people want the American people to liberate them?
Absolutely. In 1991, Iraqi people...
I hope that doesn't offend you.
When one guest dared to express doubt, Oprah would have none of it.
I just don't know what to believe with the media.
Oh, we're not trying to show you propaganda. We're just showing you what is.
I understand that.
Okay, but okay, you have a right to your opinion. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow. You have a right to your opinion, just not on TV, please. Phil Donahue didn't have a right to his opinion. He was fired. He did not have a right to his opinion. So no, you didn't have a right to your opinion. Anyways, all these things are coming up, and it's like, this is just to show you, like, and you can go before Operation Iraqi Freedom. There was the Vietnam War. Remember that? Or there was the first Gulf War. Remember that? If we want to go chronologically, but remember when we got lied into Vietnam? Remember when all those people died in Vietnam and the whole country was like, what the hell? And then did it again in Iraq. Oh, yeah, that was bad, but we learned from our mistakes. We're not going to do it this time. Remember the Korean War? Remember? Blah, blah, blah. It is crazy what she said. Yep. Anyways, good times, right? All right, guys, that does it for me. That's been my hour of ranting about the state of the world. Now I can go back to being a, semi-optimistic human being. But I appreciate you all hanging out with me and, learning about world events and stuff. And we'll be back tomorrow, talk more about some news. And thanks for hanging out with me. Best way to support the show is at buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. Also, Rockfin tips. Appreciate them. What's up, Rockfinners? Yes. Yes, that's the Australian member of parliament, right? Fleur Ali. The people of Vietnam, the people of Iraq, the people of Afghanistan know that America is a very bad house guest. They begin a conflict in their national interest and they end it in their national interest. Yes. Yeah, that's a good clip. YouTube super chats also accepted, and I have links for Venmo and Cash App in the description box of all the channels I'm on. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until next time, peace. Bye.